the heck happened there. But we should be back up and running. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Just warning everybody they need to refresh websites. All right, we're getting quite a few people back in, so thank you very much. Like to do this every couple months. This is a open web chat that anybody can join. So we've got a lot of ways where you can ask questions. You can, if you go to bradtabke.com/ShakChat, you're able to see the different ways that you can ask questions. There's a lot of different ones. You can scroll to the bottom of the page you're on if you're at the ShakChat page, and there's a form out there that you can fill in. So you can fill in that form. You can text me at 952-225-3124. You can email me. You can go on Twitter and ask Mayor Tabke. You can also use the hashtag ShakChat. ShakChat. Wow, that was a problem there. ShakChat. And so you can do that as well. You can also go to the Facebook event page where it is available there. Or as well, you can click on the Hangouts on Air link that's on the page, and that will take you to Google. You need to have a Google account to do this. And when you go to that link, there's a question and answer section on that page that you're able to ask questions, and I will answer them as we go through here. So just the agenda for the night, I hope to take hour and 15 minutes, something like that, since I was a little slow getting everything started. And so we'll take that and move it from there. We'll be going back and forth a little bit from different kinds of things. And so I've had a bunch of questions that have come in from folks. I'm going to start off here anyway by going through a little bit of a few weeks ago, I did a State of the City address with the Shakopee Chamber, held it. And so we had that over at the Casey Hall, and it was a beautiful thing. And so with the Casey Hall, when we had that, this is the program that I went through. So I'm just going to go through it really quickly for everyone here so that you can kind of get a good idea as to what the whole flavor of the State of the City was and all of the really awesome things that are going on right now in our great city. So I will start here. Economic development is obviously a big thing that we've been working on in Shakopee. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once, and evidently I'm failing miserably at that today. So economic development is a big thing. 2014, we had extraordinary expansion of Shakopee business community, along with a lot of great new business growth in town. And so that has been a lot of fun to see that happening and going on right here in our community. So we've got Shakopee unemployment dropped from 4.8 to 3.3 back in November. We had a commercial industrial total market value increase of $53.5 million, and that's in 1 year. So that's from January 1 of 2013 to January 1 of 2014. So that doesn't even take into account a lot of the new projects that came on board through 2014. We also saw a great rebirth of Main Street Shakopee. Our downtown area is humming. So new business development, we had obviously a lot of the big ones that we hear about: Rosemont Emerson, Shutterfly, Data Card, Compass Data Center, Recovery Technology Solutions, and one of my favorites, Badger Hill Beer. So that is awesome to have that. But some of the greatest stories that we haven't really talked about much are companies that were Shakopee companies who have been in Shakopee for a long time, who have chosen to grow and expand here in our community. Has been phenomenal. So we've got TE Connectivity, built a beautiful brand new facility in Shakopee. Rub Inc. is one of the big red swoosh on the side of the building as you're going past it on 169 by Shutterfly over there. So Rub Inc. was a Shakopee company. grew, expanded here in town from the north side to the south side of 169. Same with Bayer Crop Sciences. It's the big building right beside Lowe's. Gavilon Fertilizer did a huge expansion. Certainty did a very, very big expansion in their plant. And so it's been phenomenal to watch all these things happen through the year. Then economic development-wise on Main Street, Shakopee, we've had 11 new businesses start on Main Street, Shakopee in 2014. 14 rehab building projects were done, 3 exterior loan improvement projects from the city, and tons of volunteer time. So it's been great. Park and recreation, and I'm just going to go through this all real quick here. Opened the Shakopee's first off-leash dog park. Approved designs for new Quarry Lake Park, which will be built this year. Expanded recreation offerings and added indoor and outdoor pickleball courts. So it's pretty exciting that way. I got in trouble because evidently when I did the State of the City, I mentioned that pickleball is for folks who are 50 and over, and evidently that's not entirely the case, that a lot of younger people do it too. So I've never played pickleball myself, but I'm sure it's great. So public safety-wise, we have huge increase in community interaction. 2014 MAD Law Enforcement Agency of the Year. Josh Davis was the MAD DWI All-Star. Janet Grassel, Minnesota Crime Prevention Specialist of the Year. Phil Anglin was the SWAT Team Member of the Year. And we also, in public safety side of things, implemented a full-time fire department for the first time in Shakopee's history. So one of the really cool stories of 2014 is our crime rate in Shakopee. It fell down to 5.43%. That is the lowest crime rate we have had in Shakopee in 21 years. So it is phenomenal, the great work that our police department is doing and the great things that they're doing for our community. Like I just said, we hired 4 full-time firefighters in 2013. In 2013, when we hired them because we didn't have great response times, especially during the day, because we didn't have enough full-time firefighters, to respond during the day while everybody's at work and things like that. And so our average response time in 2013, the end of 2013 when we hired the firefighters, was 13 minutes. 2014, our average response time has dropped to just under 6 minutes. So that is an incredible, huge drop in the response time for our fire department. So it is a awesome thing. Public Works, Engineering, Economic Development. We've had a lot of different things as well. Public Works wise, completed Marshall and Veerling, Valley Park Business Center improvement, which is where Emerson is, state's first mini roundabout. Woohoo! Broke ground on the 101 River Crossing, which is being worked on now. Installed new sanitary sewer for the east end of Shakopee. Huge road improvements. You couldn't go anywhere this summer in Shakopee without having road improvement construction. This summer will be a lot better than that. We don't have nearly as many projects going on, but we were playing catch up from years of not doing everything we should have been doing, as well as doing a lot more trail connections in 2014. We got a lot of that done. Administration. We had a bunch of good projects as well. We completed the transition from Blue Express to MVTA. New sign ordinance, new tree replacement policies, focusing on communication, launched a brand new website, social media, and focusing on customer service, as well as transition to a new city-wide garbage service, which thankfully is moving on, so that's good. All right, so now for 2015, we did a community survey. Hopefully you found out, and you've heard about a little bit about this so far. In December 2014, community survey was done, and I couldn't be more excited with the results that we've had from this community survey. So in Shakopee, we had folks who said 93% of Shakopee residents that were surveyed. It was 400 residents that were surveyed. It is a statistical difference of plus or minus 5%. So it's a really good survey. We had 93% of Shakopee residents said that quality of life in Shakopee is either good or excellent. Said that 83% of the community said we have a strong community, which is neighborhood connections and good sense of who we are. 81% said we were on the right track as a community. 48% said that their taxes were below average or about right, which was pretty good. This is some of the highs that come in for this this average taxes question. Everybody thinks their taxes are high. So just so you know, Shakopee's are pretty low compared to everybody else in the metro. And this is one I'm also really excited about. 78% of residents said that the value of services provided for the money is either good or excellent. So it was pretty rocking that we had these great reviews in the first community-wide survey, statistically accurate community-wide survey that's been done in Shakopee that we know of. So where are we going in 2015? I got about 3 or 4 more minutes here. So we've got some major changes in organizational future in the community, a lot of park and recreation stuff in 2015, and economic development. So organizational future, vision. We as a city have, there's been a lot of questions about vision and where we're going and what's happening. We've been very clear about that, at least I think, since day one of me becoming mayor. We have a lot of great projects going on. City Council has just over the course of the last year started to put these into very concrete work plans and directives. So we have directives to the city saying overarching 30,000 foot level, focus on our downtown, create jobs, work on infrastructure, do our work in plain language so everybody can understand it, as well as create a culture of efficiency and customer service. So that's the vision that all council has unanimously adopted as directives, and the work plan gets built off of those tenets. And we hope to add some more tenets on here and directives as we get into the end of 2015 here as well. So organizational future, staffing, we, as hopefully everybody knows, we are in process of hiring a new city administrator. We put the position profile out in February. We approved it at the end of February. Interviews will be in April. The position closes on March 18th, and new city administrator will start in June. So that is happening as we are. Finance director, we have hired a new interim finance director who is working a lot with the city of Shakopee and in the offices once a week, and we'll be here until the new city administrator is hired, and then we will put a new, the new city administrator will hire a new finance director from there. So organizational change, continuing with that. City Hall, we, in our organization, we have a lot of retirements and different opportunities that are coming up in the city organization in the near future. So it is pretty exciting to have a lot of different opportunities for how we can work, who we are and what we do, and how we can make this all happen. So we have significant org chart revision that's coming up that council's working on right now. It's going to end up looking something like this one that just popped in there. It's kind of a horrible picture of it. But right now, our city administrator has something like 12 direct reports, which is just way too many people for one person to manage. And so we're going to streamline the org chart, and hopefully that will make everything, communication, work a lot better within the city, and a lot of good things happening that way. So that's a big plan that's happening over the course of the next few months here. So now Parks and Recreation. Quarry Lake Park is going to be built in 2015. So this summer, Quarry Lake Park is over beside Emerson. It's a park that is a big, beautiful lake that we have owned since the early mid 2000s, and we haven't been able to develop it as a city because there wasn't public access. Now the Emerson project has come through, and that is on completed, and so with that project being completed, we're able to develop this park for the first time. So we are going to have a couple of different park buildings out here. We're also going to have an open lawn and a playground area. This park is being developed in cooperation with the Shakopee Prior Lake Water Ski Association, so they are a huge help not only in acquiring the land, but also in the planning and where this place will be going in the future. So it's going to have fishing piers, it's going to have bleachers, and also have a big area, a showcase area for the Water Ski Association. All right, so Community Center 2.0 is a big thing that's going on right now. We're in the middle of the study phase. Council authorized studies a few months ago for feasibility and architecture, and just looking at what we really want this facility to be. So we're continuing on that process as we go right now. So back to the community survey that was done. We asked if people would support or not support these types of amenities. So we had indoor pool, aquatic facility was one of the questions that was asked. 67% said that they would support or strongly support an indoor pool. Indoor playground, 53% said they'd support or strongly support. Indoor fitness, 63%. Second sheet of ice, 41%. Indoor turf, 43%. and a senior center 58%. So a lot of projects have really good support. Others don't have as good of support, but also have, I think with the right mix, we'll be headed down the right path for these projects. So along with Community Center 2.0, we're in, like I said, we're in the middle of feasibility and architectural study right now. We'll have update. I should have updated this. The first meeting in March, so March 3rd, I believe it is. We will be having a discussion about the community center at that meeting with workshop, where we'll talk primarily about ICE is what we'll be talking about at that point, and what we want to do with ICE in the future for the city, because that kind of predicates what happens with the rest of the project. Then also update number 2 will be March 31st, where we get all the studies will come back to us, and we'll see where to go with everything from there. So it is a project that's moving. We don't have a lot of answers today, but we have a lot of good places that we're headed with the whole thing. So then along with Community Center 2.0, we're also working on the financing piece of it, users, who would be the main users and who we can partner with, whether that's the St. Francis Regional Medical Center, whether that's the Y, whether that's other folks. There's a lot of great opportunities out there for us to go for. So I think it's pretty awesome. So we're in great shape, and things are moving forward. And there's going to be tons and tons of time for public comment and lots of discussions as to how the best way to get that project done is. So we're in great shape and moving forward on it. So economic development, go west, Young Man, Main Street, Shakopee, as well as other major projects. So development in the city, we are, if you look at this map right here, the pink and purple areas, the purple areas that you see on here are the only open land that we have left in our business park. There are big projects going on right now that I can't and won't talk about, but some really exciting things happening that I can't comment on, that therefore force us to have very little purple left in this side of the map. And that takes us over to the west side of town. So on the west side of town, we have enacted a 12-month development moratorium on everything that you see in that, on the left side, everything in that yellowy and the pinkish orangish. Somebody can help me out with what that color really looks like. But it's what's happening on the west end of town. So we have a 12-month moratorium on that land, and that is so that we can complete a master planning process. We're also including in our planning process Jackson Township land that's on the south side of southeast side of 69-169. And with that, we're looking at what that whole area is when it grows up. We know we need more services and more retail out on the west side of town to serve those residents out there. We know that we need to have more housing in the community. We know we need workforce housing in the community, which is, workforce housing is housing for folks that are police officers, teachers, great jobs for our community that aren't highly paid jobs, so that a single teacher can have a place to live in the community. We need a lot more of that for our future. So we've got that, and then also are buying 30 acres from MnDOT. So that far left, purplish, pinkish, orangish, whatever we're going to call it, area right beside Shakopee Town Square Mall is 30 acres that we're in process of purchasing from MnDOT for development in the city. We're also coordinating with Jackson Township. We had our first meeting last week, and Scott County to really start talking about our annexation agreement and what the next steps are and what everybody wants to get out of that process. So that's our moving west side of things. So Main Street, Shakopee, we had 5 ribbon cuttings, another one tomorrow for Shelley's Creations in January and February 2015, which is awesome. I did not count those in what was that first slide with 14 new businesses in Shakopee and Main Street, Shakopee in 2014. So this is continuing an awesome streak of business creation, small businesses choosing to be in our downtown area. City Council has is planning to invest $500,000. Woof, that would be a lot of money. $500,000 a year over the next 3 years for planning, for streetscapes, for new lighting, those kinds of things, and getting that process moving for what the next thing is going to be. So streetscape renovation will be a big project. We need to get everybody's input, what they want it to be. Do we just want a street and a couple sidewalks? Do we want to have outdoor patios? Do we want to have a splash pad? Do we want to have a ped mall where pedestrians can walk? We don't have any cars in that downtown area. What do we want it to be in its next phase, and where do we want it to go? So that will be a big project we'll be discussing over the course of the next year, along with a railroad safety study and quiet zone study that's going on. We'll start next month for that study. And then multiple new restaurants coming to downtown, new businesses, and a lot of fun things are happening. So it's pretty cool. So we've got Land of Big Fun is the big partnership between the entertainment venues and the cities. A lot of great promotions coming up over the course of the summer for Land of Big Fun for River South. We've got Canterbury Park, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. But Canterbury Park is working on their major retail destination. The project is in great shape. It's moving forward toward the end of their due diligence, and so we'll hopefully have some announcements coming up on that in the near future on how that project will be moving forward. Major expansions of existing businesses. RAR Malting has announced that they're going to do a massive, I think it's a $70 million expansion, adding a new malt house, expanding Brewer Supply Group. I couldn't be more proud of the work that they're doing. It's amazing, and it's great to have them here in Shakopee and doing a wonderful job. We also have multiple new industrial users that are working their way into Shakopee. A lot of great stories to come out over the next few months here. So that is the state of the city, and now I'm out of breath. All right, gotta stop this. All right, we're back. So that, in short frame, was the state of the city. So just so everybody knows, if you have any questions about those things that we just, discussed, you can go ahead and send questions. I've got a lot of them queued up here that we can go ahead and talk about. Let me get them through here. You can get at it a lot of different ways. You can use Facebook. If you're on Brad Tabke / /ShakChat, you can go on there. There are a bunch of different ways where you can ask questions, and we can take it from there. So you can text me, you can email me, whatever works easiest for you. Let me pull up, see if we have any emails that came in during that. So if you can see where I'm at here, I've got my laptop, got the screen from my computer here. I've also got my iPad and my iPhone, and so we're working on getting everything in here. All right, so question from Chuck here says, do you still feel the need to spend nearly $32 million without a referendum of taxpayer money? Although it may be legal to do so, do you feel it is ethical to do this without the majority of the taxpayer consent? By the way, it seems to me Tyco actually downsized when they built their new building, considering that's the second question. Get to that one in just a second. So the first piece of that is, do you still feel the need to spend nearly $32 million without a referendum of taxpayer money? Chuck, I have never once, ever said that we would spend $32 million or $35 million without a referendum. I haven't said that. I said that this project is a big project. If we wanted to do the whole thing, it would be $35 million, guesstimated $35 million to do the whole project. So we've got $35 million for community center. But I said that, in my opinion, we shouldn't have a referendum for it. And if we don't have a referendum, we should only spend up to $20 million, which I know that we can do. And we have some great ways that we can finance this and pay this. It's not going to be a burden on taxpayers. And we'll get to the financing piece of that as we go. But yes, I do feel that if there is a way that we can get this done as a city that is not a massive increase in taxes for everyone, that yes, that is council's right and council's prerogative to do if we think it's the right thing to do. I have never said once that it is the thing that we are going to do. It is something that we could do. It's an option that I want to explore as an option. We may go out to referendum for the entire thing if we choose to move forward with anything. We may go out for a referendum for a piece of it and pay for with cash for another piece of it. There are a lot of different ways that we can do this, and we don't have any of those answers yet. So everybody who's saying that we're going to spend $35 million on a referendum is wrong. I would never vote for $35 million going into the project myself, so I don't think it can really happen that way. So I do believe that there are great ways that we can get this done. I also believe that it's council's right to figure out, and that's what the residents of Shakopee expect us to do, is to figure out what the best way to move forward with these kinds of projects would be and is, and that's how I anticipate going forward. So on the 31st of March, we'll have a discussion at council. We'll get different options for what the community center, what we could do there, what makes sense, different individual projects that make sense and might work. And then as well, we'll also talk about, we'll talk about three things. One is the feasibility of the project, what operating costs would look like into the future, what those would be 10, 15, 20 years down the road, so we're not stacking with huge operational debt on the city. Second thing is the architectural, how the whole project would fit together. Third is the financial, how we'd pay for it. And it is pretty exciting. There's some great ways that we could do that. But no, we're not going to be doing $32 million without a referendum. I'm very confident in saying that, and that's what I've been saying the whole time. So there we are that way. Another question you said was, by the way, it seems to me that Tyco actually downsized when they built their new building considerably after many years of layoffs. That is partially true and partially actually a lot not true. They took their manufacturing, and all the manufacturing for TE connectivity went to Mexico. They also took their engineering, which was here in Shakopee, and they dramatically expanded their engineering that was here in Shakopee. So the very high-end jobs, R&D facilities, those all stayed here, and they grew a lot. So it depends on which pieces you want to talk about with that. But I think it's great that they kept such a large piece in here when they sent most of their company to Mexico. All across the country, they sent most of their company to Mexico. So that is there. Let's go to some other questions here. All right, Joel asks, where in Shakopee is the new Amazon facility going to be? I will unequivocally say I'm not going to answer any questions, or I can't talk about anything that has to do with Amazon at this point. So that's there. Any more talk of new City Hall? Hopefully not. With that piece, there is a study that's currently being done on a new City Hall for the city of Shakopee. So that is a discussion that's definitely still out there. We have some major upgrades that need to be done with the City Hall area. So I'm just checking to see if a link is working right here. Yeah, it is. So just so everybody knows, you can go above the video on my website. There's a Q&A, Google Q&A app here at the Hangouts on Air. You need a Google account to use that. You can click on that link, and that will send you to a place where you can ask me questions directly online and there. So there's a lot of ways you can ask questions. So back to Joel's question about any more talk of New City Hall. Yes, there absolutely is. We're in the final stages of a study to decide if City Hall should move, should stay in downtown, or if it should move from where it currently is out to the police station, or if we should keep the one we've got and remodel it. How does that all work? So there's a lot that needs to be discussed and decided with that, because it is a major project. We have some massive security flaws and process flaws, I guess is the best way to put it, in our current City Hall. And hey, Miles, you're using the Google stuff now. But there's some major problems with our current City Hall. It's really difficult to have workshop meetings that are televised. Everybody who watches our city council meetings, when we have workshops, which is by far the best way for us as a city council to get work done, you just look at the back of our heads, and it's not a great setup at all, but it's great for getting work done. So sorry you look at the back of our heads, but sorry. So we've got that. So Miles, I'm gonna take yours first. Any updates on another grocery store like Hy-Vee, aside from Ollie's, which I know is currently being built? Actually, yes, there is a couple of things happening that way. I can only say yes. I'm trying to think of what's public and what's not public with it. There are a couple of great things happening that way that you all will like. It is still upsetting to me that we couldn't get the Hy-Vee deal to work out where Hosanna Church is currently. The Hosanna Church bought that entire building at the corner of Marshall and 169, and so that project is just not going to happen there in the near future. So we need to go on to Plan B with grocery stores and Hy-Vee, and so there's some really good things happening. I can't say what they are because nothing is a done deal at this point. But as soon as there are some things to announce, you'll be the first to know. So we are there with that. I'm going to screw up your name, my friend. Gina, we'll just go with Gina. Are there any plans for traditional outdoor playgrounds at the community center, the new community center that we'd be working on? No, there are not any plans for that at the community center, but I wanted to come on here and show at here we go. At City Hall, Kristen Holtz works. She's our communication direct coordinator, I think is her title. She is phenomenal. Our new website got really great reviews in the community survey, which is fun to say as well. But there is a ton of information on here. So if you have questions about parks, you can go to Park and Recreation. You can go to Park and Open Space System. And on here is a rockin' map. So you can go in here and you can zoom in, see where all of our parks, where our facilities are. Knows that I'm right there at my house. And at the community center, we've got a couple parks within walking distance of this area right here. This is where my house is. So we've got Tapa Park, Lions Park, I don't know what this little park is called, Stan's Park. And then across the highway as well, we've got Hackney Park over here. So you can use, the city's new website has a ton of functionality on it. And so great things, you can find parks, you can find other facilities. I'll go through some other things with that here in a little bit. But it is an awesome park. So as we do new developments, there are a lot of parks that are slated to be built out. So we're excited to see those happen as things move forward here. All right, Jim asked a question about has the empty bank on building on Dean Lakes Boulevard been sold? Sorry, Jim, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else has a good answer for that, but I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that one. Great question for a great webcast, but I just don't have it for you. Sorry. Now we go to David, who says, what are the plans to widen Eagle Creek Road between County Road 21 and Canterbury Road? So the road is narrow and has no shoulders. Traffic has increased a lot. It's an accident waiting to happen. So there have been a bunch, David, of, not a bunch, a few town meetings about this road. So this is, this worked out pretty well here. Let's go back. So the road that he is talking about is County Road 16 here between 83 and 21. This is a 2-lane road, really, really tight, tough to get through. But another thing you can do on the website is go to residents, go to roads and transportation, current projects, future projects. We got County Road 16 right here. So County Road 16 is scheduled for 2016. The county was great enough to put that in their budget. It was supposed to wait until 2019. But one of the first things we started to say a few years ago was that that project has to be moved up in its timing because a couple reasons. One, that road is really dangerous. And two, our community is so very spread out from east to west that it's really difficult to get from Southbridge area to downtown or Southbridge to Marshall Road, or wherever you want to go to the community center in the community. And County Road 16, Eagle Creek Boulevard, is the only way to do that. So we've got the project. They were great enough to move it up to 2016. So it's in the design phase, final stage of the design phase now. We've seen a little bit about it at City Hall, at City Council. So it's this stretch of road right here. We're not going to do anything between 21 and 18. Since 21 went in, that road has dramatically less traffic on it, so it's not going to get anything done with it right now. That was originally part of the plan, but it's going to stick between 83 and 21 for now. So that's that project is a go, and it's a go for 2016. All right, Jesse. Jesse asks, any closures coming up for 101 bridge construction? I've heard that a pub may go in at the corner of 101 and Spencer. So the first question is, any closures coming up for 101 bridge construction? No, they are in good shape as of right now for that project. There's going to be periodic closures on it as it goes forward, just for when they're moving cranes around and things like that. They hit a bit of a snarl with some unexpected soil conditions. So there's a bit of a delay on piers 8 through 12, I think. I don't remember what it exactly said. But it's amazing to me how fast they're moving on that project. And so hopefully they continue to keep making good pace on it. But no, there are no closures coming up for the 101 bridge in the near future. There is a website that is dedicated to the 101 bridge, and it's a Southwest Reconnection Project. There's also a Facebook page. There's also a Twitter feed. So if you want to keep updated as to what's going on, they do a phenomenal job of keeping all that information on there for what's coming up in the near future for that project. So you can go, it's a Southwest Reconnection Project, and you just have to Google it. I don't remember exactly what it is for the website. I'll find it at bradtabke.com, ShakChat. I'll put like show notes kind of thing in there for all these different things that I randomly spout out, but don't really know what I'm talking about. And we'll I'll put them on there so everybody can find it as we go forward here. It would help if I made notes so I remember what they are. So we've got another question here, and this one's from Brian. And Brad, last June there was flooding on Wyndham Drive. Water overflowed the pond in Green Meadows Park and flooded the backyards and some of the basements on the east side of Wyndham. Is the city going to do anything to try and prevent this from happening again? Yes, we've done a lot actually with this. So I'm obviously, I don't remember if I met you, Brian, or not, but I was out there a lot during the project. So it was sad and unfortunate that it all happened, but it was a freak of nature that it all happened. And so, but yes, there is a lot that is being done currently. I actually had a meeting today where we discussed it at length. We're working together with the cities of Prior Lake, mostly City of Prior Lake and the Shakopee, Mdewakanton, and Sioux community on what this means, because a lot of that water came from both Prior Lake and the SMSC land that ended up in your basement. And so there's a lot of responsibility that goes around for how we get this fixed. What happened, if you don't know yet, was that when we got 9-11 inches of rain, whatever it ended up being, that came off of the hills, it was supposed to soak into the farm that's to the north of your house, south of your house, sorry. And it's supposed to soak into that land. First, it's supposed to divert and go east into the land that is the tribe's land. But it broke through those dikes and went into the farmland. It's supposed to go into the farmland and soak into that really sandy soil that's there. Didn't do that because there's so much rain. Went across the street, supposed to go in the street into the ponds that are there, filled the ponds up, went from one pond to the next pond to the next pond into everybody's backyards. So we've been working a lot on improving the culverts and the dikes that are in that area so that the water shouldn't get through there again. We're also working on projects for how we can outlet the water from, if it were to happen, in the backyard area to the gravel pit. And so we're working on those projects as well. But a lot has been done. It's an expensive project to get done, but we're committing to do it. We got flood mitigation money from the state. So there's a lot of projects that are going on. I believe And let me look here real quick. I believe on the city's website, I'm not sure where we've got it. I don't find it right now, but I'll find it and put it back on the site here for all the different things that are happening for the flood mitigation. So I'll put that on there so everybody can see what those are also. Another Brian asked a question, has community fiber internet ever been considered in Shakopee? The answer to that, Brian, is yes. We have fiber throughout the county. All of our schools are connected, libraries are connected, a lot of our businesses are connected to the fiber network. But I haven't gotten anybody talked into the fact that it would be a great thing to have fiber to the home. I also think it would be a great thing to have community-wide Wi-Fi. I know it's a money cash boondoggle, but another thing that happened with our community survey is a quarter of our residents in Shakopee don't have Wi-Fi, which that amazed me. It seemed really high. They told us it's actually pretty low, but over a quarter of our residents do not have access to the internet in their homes. And I think that's a really key thing, economic development, education-wise, a lot of things. So this is a project that would, if it were to move forward, since the city doesn't control our utilities, it would need to go through Shakopee Public Utilities in order to get something like that done. It's a project that would be great to have community support and people working to help get it done. But it's just not something that's in the current plan at this point. All right, Carrie asked a question. I feel like I've spent the majority of the winter at the Savage Dome. What are some options to expand facilities to sports year-round for families in Shakopee? This is the, Carrie, this is the Community Center 2.0 project. We've got a, we're not sure what it ends up being. It's either going to be a field house or a dome on the southeast side of the community center. We'll have to see how much it costs. We'll have to see what it all looks like and how that project, everything ends up fitting together as a project. So we will, the intent is to have some sort of indoor sports turf facility when the whole thing is finished. So we'll work on that. So stay tuned. Not as much this first meeting in March, but the March 31st meeting. We'll have architectural studies and things like that to show how that could work on that site and what would happen in the future. So that's one thing that we'll have going on there. And then your second question is, I'm a dog lover. I love the new dog park, although I haven't been out much in recent weeks. I love all the walking trails in the community where I can take my pooch for a stroll. Seems like Shakopee is a dog-loving town. It'd be really nice to have more garbage cans along the trail so owners can easily pick up after Fido. What would it take for the city to do this? I really don't know. Is the good answer or the bad answer to that. We have a, there are quite a few cans out there, but they have to be able to be accessed by the garbage trucks because that garbage truck goes along the trail that goes around the outside. They have to be able to have good access to it. So what can be done that way, I'm not 100% sure, but let me look into it and see what we can get done. Dana says, where can we learn more of the Jackson Township annexation plans? I understand that there's a proposal to start with 250 acres for the future development, but will all of Jackson Township be annexed, and is there a timeline for that? All right, Dana, so we've had, how do I explain this? So for, I think it's like 15 years, something like that, City of Shakopee and Jackson Township together have had an orderly annexation agreement. And the orderly annexation agreement means that we are able to, as projects happen, so if there's someone who owns land who wants to be part of the city, they can petition the city to have that land be annexed. So that's one way that it can happen. Another way that can happen is that the city, if the city petitions the homeowners to be annexed into the city. I don't think this has ever happened in Shakopee, but that's a second way that it could possibly happen. So there's no time frame. There's no nothing. It's actually biting us in the backside quite a bit that there's no time frame through Med Council. Their new standards in order for something to be included in some pretty big projects, it needs to have a phased approach for annexation of township areas, which it all ends up making sense in the end. It's just that we don't have a phased approach for it. So that's the number one thing that we're working with Jackson Township right now on figuring out is from Jackson Township's perspective and the homeowners and landowners' perspective, what does annexation look like? What do you think will happen? When do you want it to happen? And how do we all work on it together? And so that's the project that's happening right there. I understand there's the piece where you asked proposal to start with 250 acres. I'm not sure what that means. I haven't heard that, so I'm not sure I can help you there. But a timeline is that we need to get, we are best getting something figured out by summer. We have till August, September at the latest to get a phased plan figured out. And when we do that, then that will help kick in some of the timelines for Met Council. But it's something that needs to be done and something that I'm really working on this year. So Matt Lehman and I are representing the city on kind of a group with the township and the county to get these things figured out. All right. From Carolyn, any plans for more restaurants, sit-down restaurants? Yes, absolutely. I would love nothing more than to be able to say, this is what's going to go there, this is what's going to go there. There are a lot of great things happening. For example, I know that we've got 3 folks that really want to be in our downtown. There's one that is a tavern that wants to be down there, and everything's getting worked out. So that will be phenomenal when it gets its legs under it. Then another one is an Irish pub that will be phenomenal when it also gets its legs under it. Another one is a beer and burger place, and they want to be downtown as well. And so we've got great prospects, and we're working really hard to get it across the finish line. But it's just, for some reason, Shakopee, we're having a hard time. We've got all these businesses and all these jobs coming, but getting the retail to follow individually has been tough, and I have no great explanation for it. I really wish that it would be a lot easier to get done, but it just hasn't been. So we're getting close, and I know that there are some really good things that are happening. Some really good things are happening in Southbridge as well. So some big announcements will be coming from there as we get through spring and summer. In that area, nothing that I can talk about because it's not my story to tell. I would love to be able to tell you, but that's not my place. So we'll go with that piece from there. I'll use that to segue into Canterbury Park. So Canterbury Park, as hopefully everybody knows, is working on a massive redevelopment project. It would be taking all of the barns and removing all the current barns and moving them to the backside of the track. Then where the barns are standing currently would then turn into retail, movie theater, large retail, high-end retail, a lot of restaurants, other great things. And that project is getting toward the end of their the initial due diligence with it, and everything looks great. And we're really excited to partner with Canterbury and Kraus Anderson, who's doing the development, in how we get that done. It's going to take a lot of money to do it. So we're looking at redevelopment TIF, tax increment financing, to help finance that project, as I talked about last time we were here. But it's a great project, and hopefully get to see some things breaking ground this summer, this fall, and moving with it from there. So that is still very much in the works and going forward. So it's pretty good. I have Pat asked a very awesome question from the email, Citizens Against Brad at shakopee.gov. So that's always a good one. So what are you going to do after the voters kick you out of office? That's question number 1. Question number 2, when will McNeil release the audio recording of the performance review held on December 2nd? The first question is obviously up to the voters, so that's up to them. And then the second one, everything is out there that can be out there. It's a personnel issue that everyone is working with, and so we are moving forward and not looking back at what has gone on. I know some people aren't happy about it, but I obviously think it's the best thing for the city and for the community to move forward in a different direction. It is, if you go on to the city's website as well, there is a position paper on there that shows what the new city administrator, what we value. It is unanimously approved by council. We're 100% in support of this recruitment pamphlet. So go on there and read it. If you go on the city's website, it's in the news section. There's a Shakopee City Administrator position that's open through March 18th. And that really shows where we want to go as a unified, unanimous body as city council. So it's a really good thing. And I think it's going forward in a very good way. So that's where we're at. Sorry, Citizens Against Brad at Shakopee.gov that you don't like it, but that's where we're going. Dan asked, what is the constant burning from the recycling center at 83 south of Lowe's? That is the organics recycling facility. That is a Shakopee, Minnewacan, Sioux facility. So the constant burning out there is the dryer. So the SMSC and RAR Malting have a partnership called Coda Energy. And so Coda Energy, they take all the chaff and things from the wheat and the hops that are at RAR, and they put that into, and they burn that for energy for RAR. And so I kind of said that screwed up. Sorry, Jesse, but that is good enough. So they take and they have to have it to be 90-some% dry. So out at the SMSC's ORF Organics Recycling Facility, they're using that as a dryer out there. They chip everything up into little pieces, and then they dry it out. So it's not burning things out there, but it is drying everything out. So that's where the burning smell comes from, is from drying out those wood chips, and then they get shipped to Coda Electric, and Coda burns it for energy for RAR. So it's a great partnership out there. There's some issues with the ORF that are hopefully getting worked out, but they're taking it from there. So let me go find a couple other questions here. All right, Dave asked about housing availability. We're out of land in Shakopee. As I talked about with during the State of the City stuff, we're out of land basically for commercial industrial projects. We're also out of land for residential projects. The way we move that is twofold, really. The first way is by annexing, which we're talking about. So we're talking about annexing further west and south of the city to add more space for single family homes, good developments, those kinds of things. So that's the one way that happens. The second way, which in my opinion is the better long-term and more viable way of doing it, is through redevelopment. We have a lot of places in the city where we can add higher density apartments, higher density housing, things like that. We know as a city that we don't make, that it's a net negative on our tax base. Any house that's built that's on 1/3 of an acre or more, we end up losing tax money. So it's a net negative to our tax base every time we build a house. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, and I know it doesn't make a ton of sense when you say it out loud, but it's because of we're lacking the density. We get a lot more tax base off of smaller, more tightly built homes than on big $500,000 homes that are on a full acre. So we end up getting a lot more tax base that way. So we need, as a community, to focus on our density of that housing stock and our density of our buildings that we build for commercial, industrial, of retail. So it's more of a traditional building structure like the presidential streets are in Shakopee, the older town Shakopee, and not like where I live. Because where I live isn't very dense at all. We're still on 1/4 acre lots, but they're meandering streets and they go back and forth. And it's really difficult to get the density that works well. So we need to, as we work on the next phase of our development, we need to continue to work on building more density and a little smarter than we have in the past. So that's housing availability. Chrissy asked, there's so much chat about Jackson Township. What about Louisville Township? We haven't talked to Louisville Township at all. Louisville Township is a ways down the road. we are quite a long way from any development in the city of Shakopee happening in Louisville Township. Louisville Township is one of the, not one of the, it is the richest township, the most money township in the state. And so to make those dynamics work are going to be very interesting and a problem for a different day. I don't know how far the city will be annexing and how far it will go that direction. But that remains for a day when I am no longer mayor. So that's somebody else's thing to work on for that. So Marty asked, any new retail and restaurants coming to Shakopee? Yes and yes and yes. Pretty great things are happening. Hopefully we'll have some big announcements here in the next few weeks to a month that you'll be able to hear what those things are as they start to break ground this spring. Another question, how does the school referendum impact city activities? Does Shakopee plan to piggyback any development atop a yes vote, like community center, ice, turf, etc.? So hopefully everybody understands that the school district is one item and the city is a totally separate item. We work really well together and we work really hard on making sure that our facilities mesh and that we are providing the best. Everybody's taxes go to the school district and the city, and we all serve the same people. So we want to make sure that everything works really well together. And so nothing that gets done with the school referendum will be redundant with the city. There won't be any of that happening whatsoever. They're two separate projects, but two separate projects that do play off each other because we don't want to replicate facilities. We want to make sure that things make sense for all of our residents. And so it is a really good partnership, and we won't be doing anything, making any decisions regarding our community center until well after a vote happens. I don't believe we have council will figure out how that goes the end of March, but it is, I think it's a really good relationship that we've got that all works together. So that's good. Colleen asked, improving our infrastructure. Colleen, you'll have to help me out. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Jenny asked about update on the proposed indoor tennis center. The indoor tennis center is a completely separate project from the city, so we don't get updates on that often. But the indoor tennis center will be a phenomenal project as it moves forward. They are in the process of figuring out their fundraising techniques, as I understand, and they'll figure that piece out as they go along. So I think we'll probably hear an update from them coming this summer as to how that whole project is going. So let me see if I've got any more questions that came up here. As I'm checking this out, I want to do a great, I want to congratulate my friend Deb Barber, who is on Met Council now. She's a rep for Met Council. She just got, she hasn't officially been appointed yet, but the governor has said that he will be appointing her to represent District 4. District 4 is the northern half-ish of Scott County, along with a good chunk of Carver County. And it is a great thing to have someone from Scott County and from Shakopee to be representing us at Met Council. The last time that we had anyone representing Scott County on Met Council was back in 1987. So 1987 was the last time we had somebody on Met Council from Scott County. So that is a really great thing for it will be a very great thing for us. So congratulations, Deb, for all your hard work and all the hard work you're going to be doing for us. Chuck came back and asked another question about Tyco. Chuck said, could you elaborate on how Tyco moving manufacturing to Mexico is better for us in Shakopee with all the empty buildings that were left behind, along with those jobs that were taken there too? All right, so this is getting down into the nitty-gritty of things here, Chuck, but Tyco moved their manufacturing to Mexico long before they decided to continue to grow their engineering and R&D facilities here in Shakopee. They didn't leave us with any buildings. Data card is in the building that TE Connectivity, Tyco, was in. So they sold their building to, it was never empty. They sold their building to Data Card. Data Card is all moved in now. They've got 800 plus employees there in that old, it's the ADC1 building. Then it was Tyco, and then it was TE Connectivity. And now it is Entrust Data Card. And so Data Card is in there. They moved here from Minnetonka. If anybody in Shakopee needs a job, they should be able to find one. Data Card has 100 jobs that are open right now. So if you go to datacard.com, you'll be able to find some of those jobs. And it's an amazing thing. We spent all these last 2-3 years talking about job creation and talking about where we're going in the city and helping to get everybody on board with that project. And we evidently did a pretty good job. I hate constantly going back to the survey for everything, but 90-some% of the community supports using job incentives for, I have to go back and look at that exact number, but it was in the very high 80s, 90s for using incentives of some type for job creation in Shakopee. The reason why we have to continue to create jobs here in Shakopee is that as of 2011, 87% of our workforce left town every single day to go to work. We found out through the survey again that about a third of those people go to Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka. A third of them go to Minneapolis, St. Paul. A third of them go to Burnsville, Eagan. So when those people leave, they're out of our city. They're not spending money here, supporting our businesses, those kinds of things. So we've, as well as everybody who's a commuter, puts tremendous burden on all of our infrastructure. We've only got so many lanes that cross the river. We're never going to get more lanes, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a really difficult thing for us to get more lanes going across the river. So we need to take care of ourselves. We have to continue to build jobs in Shakopee. And so we worked for the last 3 years to bring and work with Sanmar. Imagine Printing did a huge investment and a huge expansion. We've got Sanmar, Shutterfly. We've also got Emerson. We've got Data Card. Lots of really great folks are here in town now and expanding here in town. And so those jobs are just finally starting to really come through and make a huge impact on our job market. So if you're somebody who has is working downtown Minneapolis or in Minnetonka or even in Eden Prairie, make sure to take a look at some of these jobs that are available right now in your own backyard and see if anything is a good fit for you and see if anything is right, because there are a lot of jobs to be had and there are a lot of jobs that are here and available. So it is incredible how that whole thing has worked out and is continuing to work out really well for our community. Lost that one there. All right, I think that about does it for the questions. As I said, there's a lot of things going on. We have a lot of studies going on right now as well. We've got our Downtown 101 study where we're going to take a really deep dive into the Main Street area for our streetscapes and what that really should look like in its next phase, how it works for parking, how it works for signage, those types of things. We're also doing that big study on the railroad for quiet zone and safety improvements through there. We're doing a big study on County Road 83 for how we can improve that not only aesthetically as our big welcome into Shakopee as to we're excited that you're here. We're excited for tourists to be here when they visit Valley Fair and Canterbury Park and Mystic. We need to have a welcoming place that everybody wants to come back to again. And so that's part of that project in 83, as well as improving the traffic flow on 101 and 83. So that northern end of that stretch is really key to getting some things figured out that way. I also learned today that starting in whenever the weather breaks, March, April, the third lane on 169, so as you're coming southbound on 169, it goes from 3 lanes when you cross the bridge down to 2 lanes, and then there's the exit for County Road 83. So that is going to be expanded to 3 lanes from where it goes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. There's going to be a continued 3 lanes all the way through to County Road 83. So that merge will be gone. And so this is a project that's completely and totally funded by the SMSC. So we thank them for this huge investment. It's going to be great for them. It's going to be great for us. And I'm really excited for it. It'll be about a 2 to 3 month project to get that done and to get that going. So they won't close down any lanes. It's going to be 2 lanes. They're going to be shrunk down a little bit for the process, but that where it goes from 3 to 2 will be 3 for the whole time. So that's pretty exciting and a great thing to be happening there. So I think with that, we'll wrap it up. I really, really appreciate everybody for being here. There have been a lot of people watching this, so I really appreciate you sticking through it. Sorry I had some technical difficulties to start out with it, and so thank you everybody for sticking with it and keeping up. And again, I thank you. We've been having tremendous success in the community. It's all because of you folks and everybody who supports and wants to work for our community and are volunteering and are being part of what's going on. I really, really appreciate it and couldn't be more excited about where we're going and where we're going in the future. This, after I stop broadcasting here, will be live, not live, it'll be available for everybody to watch in the future. So if you got in late, you can watch the beginning here. It only takes 5 or 10 minutes before it loads right here in the bradtabke.com page. So again, thank you very much and have a wonderful night.